Welcome back, story enthusiasts, to the enchanted world of Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away, where chunky radish gods meet modern-day anxieties. At its heart lies Kamikakushi, spiriting away. It's a concept woven through centuries of Japanese folklore and into contemporary life. From age-old tales to the economic upheavals of the 1990s, Spirited Away brilliantly transforms Japan's historical fears and uncertainties into a fantastical journey. Chihiro's story mirrors Japan's own path as she desperately seeks to save her parents and prevent herself from disappearing. Join me as we unravel the layers of this beloved film, bridging folklore, history, and the timeless experience of finding strength in an unstable world. To understand Chihiro's journey in Spirited Away, we must first begin with Shinju no Mori, or guardian forests. These tiny, sacred areas rooted in Japan's indigenous Shinto religion were created to protect the shrines of kami, gods believed to inhabit forests and mountains. Shinto shrines have long been seen as bridges between our world and the spirit realm, marking boundaries humans shouldn't cross accidentally. However, Japanese folklore paints gods and spirits as mischievous. Sudden disappearances from these sacred places gave rise to the concept of Kamikakushi, literally hidden by the gods, or as we say in the West, spirited away. Victims were often young children or women, with tales ranging from fantastic journeys to darker narratives. These stories sometimes provided explanations for tragic losses during times of famine or disease, or veiled societal issues like runaways or postpartum depression. The Tono Monogatari, Japan's closest equivalent to Grimm's fairy tales, offers a chilling example. It tells of a rich family's daughter who vanishes, only to be found later by a hunter from her village. She recounts her horrifying ordeal, kidnapped by a strange being, forced to bear its children, and made to watch as her captor devoured them. This tale exemplifies the often dark nature of Kamikakushi stories, contrasting sharply with Chihiro's more benign, though still challenging adventure. Interestingly, anthropologist Komatsu Kazuhiko suggests a more grounded interpretation of Kamikakushi. He writes, "The truth of Kamikakushi could have been a runaway disliking village life, longing for an urban city or elopement. The veil of Kamikakushi conveniently situates a runaway into the realm of the gods. Kamikakushi hides not only a person, but also the truth behind their escape." This perspective reveals how these tales might have served as a societal coping mechanism, explaining away uncomfortable truths or unsanctioned choices. Chihiro's own spiriting away begins when her family unknowingly steps into the realm of gods. However, this is not at the tunnel as we are led to believe. The statue before the tunnel, according to Miyazaki's storyboards, was intended to be a trickster deity of sorts. The tunnel itself is already part of the god's world, a trick, evidenced by its different appearance upon entry and exit. And when Chihiro's family first truly loses their way, they actually encounter a guardian forest. However, it's in a state of disrepair. A broken torii gate leans against a Japanese cedar, unable to mark their passage into the spirit world. The ancient, forgotten path that follows must have once been sacred. Miyazaki's further attention to environmental impact is evident in the discarded miniature kami houses, and the faded sign reading Aburaya, the name of Yubaba's bathhouse where Chihiro eventually finds work. As we transition from these more traditional roots to the economic context of Japan's lost decades, we can begin to see how Miyazaki weaves together ancient traditions and modern anxieties. The abandoned town Chihiro's family stumbles upon mirrors the numerous developmental projects left unfinished after Japan's economic bubble burst. Just as Chihiro must navigate an unstable spirit world, so too did Japan's society grapple with sudden economic uncertainty. This parallel sets the stage for understanding how Spirited Away reflects not just timeless folklore, but also the real challenges of contemporary Japan. Studio Ghibli was officially established in 1985 with the release of Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind. And it would be an understatement to say that Japan in the 80s, well, it just hit different. City pop, Nintendo, Akira, the list of pop culture is endless. But it wasn't only in consumed media. Japan's spending during this time was nuts. The decade's economic boom led to a culture of excess and conspicuous consumption. People drowned in imported alcohol, luxury clothing, art, and real estate. It's said, whether truthfully or anecdotally, land in Tokyo became so valuable that the Imperial Palace alone had a higher asking price than the entire state of California. You see, after World War II, the Japanese economy was a mess, but it would soon experience an economic miracle. To put it simply, the value of the Japanese yen compared to the US dollar was garbage. That, with Japan's desire to quickly recover, resulted in the country's innovative chokehold on markets like automobiles, construction, and electronics. Japan could put out quality products and services at a tiny fraction of the price. This didn't last long though. The same year Studio Ghibli was established, Japan bowed to pressure abroad and at home, agreeing to weaken the dollar relative to the yen so just maybe US products could have a chance. But in doing so, Japan risked a recession. So what did they do? They cut interest rates, like chop chop, almost non-existent, here's some money. Which meant people rushed out for loans, and with even the most reckless of borrowers getting approved, this resulted in a cycle of taking loans out to get land, using the land to borrow more money, and using that money to buy stocks, which they turned around and bought more land with. So what could go wrong? And why am I telling you this? Well, because Chihiro, being 10 years in 2001, the year Spirited Away was released, would have been born during what followed after this boom. After an unstable economic bubble created by the Japanese economy burst, and the country entered the lost decade. From 1991, the country's economy entered a period of near zero economic growth. Companies either weren't hiring, or if they did, they only offered low-paying part-time jobs or temporary work instead of stable employment with benefits. The economic downturn also led to the emergence of the social phenomenon of hikikomori, where people isolate themselves from society for long periods of time. This also includes something called the 80-50 problem, where those of the lost decade generation, having entered the adult world to a harsh and hostile welcome, are now in their 50s, and whose only means of support are parents in their 80s. But I'm getting off track. To put things in perspective, in 1989, of the world's top 50 companies, 32 were Japanese. As of this year, only Toyota remains on that list. And that doesn't look very promising. As Japan's economic miracle faded into memory, a new reality had set in. The once bustling streets of the 80s, alive with the pulse of dance music and the glow of neon, grew quieter. Families like Chihiro's found themselves uprooted, seeking more affordable lives away from the urban centers that had once promised endless prosperity. It's in this context that Miyazaki's Spirited Away emerges as a powerful metaphor. The abandoned town Chihiro's family stumbles upon is more than just a fantasy world. It's a mirror to the very real urban ruins dotting Japan's landscape. Relics of a more optimistic era that were abandoned when the money for their development dried up. Such extra entertainment areas have popped up in Japan since the Meiji period, and are not actually unusual. For example, there was once an observatory in Tokyo called Fujisan Juranjo, where in 1887, they made a miniature version of Mount Fuji. Known as Asakusa Fuji, it was 32 meters tall and actually allowed visitors to walk from the bottom to the top until it was later replaced by Japan's first Western-style skyscraper. Such attractions, born in the Meiji area and booming during the bubble years, now stand as ghostly reminders of fleeting dreams. In Spirited Away's spirit world, where values shift like a river and identities are as fragile as paper, we see reflected the instability of post-bubble Japan. Chihiro's journey from bewildered child to capable worker mirrors a generation forced to adapt to a new economic reality, struggling to find worth where safety is not possible. The bathhouse, teeming with spirits seeking renewal, becomes Japan itself, a nation grappling with its identity in the wake of social upheaval. And just as Chihiro must navigate this treacherous spirit world to reclaim her name and her parents, so too did Japan's youth forge their paths in an uncertain landscape, seeking to reclaim their futures. So, we've explored Spirited Away's history in Japanese folklore and the economic turmoil that shaped the world Chihiro was born into. But why Chihiro? Why did Miyazaki choose this ordinary 10-year-old girl as his protagonist? Now, Chihiro is too young to have directly experienced the economic upheaval of Japan's lost decade. She's not part of that troubled generation. She's something much more universal. As Miyazaki himself said, there's something wrong with everyone. Chihiro is a girl, someone with whom the audience can sympathize, someone about whom they can say, yes, it's like that. Remember how Chihiro's father recklessly drove up that winding path? There's a note on the film storyboard that while her mom was used to her dad's driving, Chihiro was seeing this side of her father for the first time. It's a subtle nod to the changing perceptions of childhood, as kids start to see the flaws in their parents and the world around them. But there's more to Chihiro than just being relatable. Like a guardian forest, she's a bridge between worlds, the fading memory of pre-bubble Japan and the uncertain future ahead. Miyazaki understood that children, even more so than adults, intuitively grasp the complexity and anxiety of the world that we live in. And rather than sugarcoating that reality, he gave us Chihiro, a heroine who finds herself uprooted, thrust into an unfamiliar and unstable world. But through her trials, we see the true strength that lies within her. When Chihiro's name becomes Sen, meaning 1000 in Japanese, it's not just a new identity. It's a number, symbolizing her value to Yubaba as just another unit of profit. Sound familiar? It's a pretty on-the-nose critique of how many felt valued in post-bubble Japan. But here's where Chihiro shines. Unlike the adults around her, she doesn't succumb to greed. When no face offers her gold, she flatly states, "You can't give me what I want." Miyazaki points out, Chihiro, who has almost reached enlightenment and can feel dignified strength, does not want money or food. She only cares about saving Haku. This contrasts with Chihiro at the film's start, when we see her literally fading away. A powerful visual metaphor for the loss of identity many Japanese felt in the wake of economic upheaval. It's also reminiscent of older Japanese tales where characters cross between worlds, time flowing differently on each side. Those scattered houses at the foot of the cedar tree, they're gods without homes, mirroring Chihiro's own displacement. She's facing problems complicated not just by the fantastic, but grounded in reality. You know, pretty much everybody in the world has either been 10 or is going to be 10. Children can fail and start over. Contrary to adults who have lost all their innocence, it's never too late. Chihiro's story is one of resilience, of finding inner strength in the face of overwhelming odds. But don't mistake this for simple nostalgia or escapism. Miyazaki is clear. We need fantasy. For those who are in their powerless childhood when they feel hopeless, fantasy has something to give them relief. Chihiro's journey isn't just about running away from reality, or even change. It's about finding the strength to face it within yourself. And in that act of self-affirmation, Chihiro becomes a symbol of hope. As Miyazaki reflects, I wanted to say, don't worry. It will be all right in the end, and there will be something for you. Not just in cinema, but in everyday life. Chihiro's journey resonates because it taps into universal experiences. The fear of the unknown, the pain of growing up, and the discovery of inner strength. Because Chihiro's story isn't just about Japan's struggles, it's about the universal human experience of finding strength in the face of instability. Her journey speaks to anyone who has ever felt lost, anyone who has ever had to start over and rediscover their worth. And isn't that what we all need sometimes? A reminder that even in the face of overwhelming change, we have the power to rewrite our own stories. That's the true significance of Spirited Away and the enduring power of Chihiro's journey. Thanks for listening to today's video. In many ways, Chihiro's transformation reflects our own struggles to overcome the vanishing acts that threaten to erase us. So, as you leave this video, I challenge you to reflect on your own Spirited Away. Those moments when the ground has shifted beneath your feet, when the world seems intent on making you disappear, and never give up hope. Did this video spark any magical ideas for your own writing? Leave a like and share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Your insights might just help someone who needs it. Until then, whenever you find yourself in a pickle on how to improve your story, just know, Ditto, you're not alone, and I'll be here to help.